Welcome back to Good Morning Interbike. We're at the 2013 edition of the Interbike Expo, and we're here at the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. We're talking to Larry from Currie Technologies. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Tell everybody what's Currie, because they may not necessarily know that name. They may know you by other names.
Yeah, so Currie Technologies has been around since 1995 with an exclusive focus on e-mobility. In 2012, January of 2012, we were acquired by Excel Group, which is this big European holding, owns a bunch of different brands. And we do electric bicycles exclusively. And we're part of a group in North America that includes Raleigh and Diamondback and Seattle Bike Supply.
So a lot of different brands under Excel. So people may not know the Excel name, but they certainly know the other names, Raleigh and Diamondback and things like that.
Exactly.
And what's interesting to me is Currie's been around a long time, but for a lot of people, they think, well, e-bikes haven't been around that long. That's not exactly true, is it?
No, e-bikes have been around really since the late 90s, but in a pretty primitive state. And quite honestly, the interesting thing that's happened really in just the last couple of years is that technology has finally caught up with the concept, and we're able to build some really nice performing, reliable, high quality bikes in a diverse offering, really something in every category.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think is interesting, besides the technology finally catching up to the vision, is the fact that for many, many years people said, oh, it's never going to be a North American thing. It's European. But that's not true anymore. E-bikes are, just look at the floor, e-bikes are really catching on, aren't they?
Yeah, they absolutely are. And it's been really a steady progression really since about 2008. And the catalyst in 2008 was gasoline getting expensive and people seeking, alternative mobility. And bicycles in general, of course, have also scaled. But, a lot of people, the uninitiated, aren't necessarily willing to, work as hard to get to their destination. So e-bikes make sense.
If I'm going to a business meeting or I'm going to work, I don't want to arrive sweaty. But I still want that alternative mode of transportation, and what you're providing to them is the ability to ride a bike, but without, as I said, getting sweaty.
Yeah, well, that's part of it.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about the latest technology is that you can really regulate the level of assist that you want, and it feels like a real natural extension of your human power. So the really high quality bikes in the market today, like iZip and eFlow and HiBike, have this functionality where it's not necessarily a throttle actuated bike that makes you feel like you're riding a scooter. You're riding it like a normal bike. It's just you, only stronger.
So if people have tried e-bikes before, one of the things years ago, one of the things that they'll remember was that it was called pedal assist, but as you and I both know, what would end up happening is you'd start pedaling and the bike would sort of jerk along. Yeah. Are we past that now?
Well, the whole industry is not past that.
Okay.
But I would say the better product is past that. So, there's on the higher quality bikes, we're able to take 3 pieces of data input and control how the motor actuates. One is wheel speed, the other is rotational speed of the bottom bracket spindle, and the other is torque. And by taking those 3 pieces of data and running it through software that knows you're just getting started, okay, we're going to start with rotational speed to get you moving, and then it's going to switch over to torque so that it really feels like it's you, just with some more energy.
So from a technology standpoint, then a lot of it comes down to what controls the motor itself, obviously, but what controls the motor, the software and the algorithms that you use in order to determine how much power, how much assist is going in.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Nice.
And there's a user interface on the better bikes that give you a proportionate level of boost, and you can regulate it. So at the lowest setting, it may be U plus 50%, and at the highest setting, it's U plus 300%.
Nice.
So it's gotten quite sophisticated, and quite honestly, what has happened is that it's made these bicycles really viable in the marketplace. The consumer likes the way they feel, and even an enthusiast gets on one and comes back and says, wow,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
And you find more of the enthusiasts, the high-end roadies, the high-end mountain bikers thinking, well, this can be an alternative bicycle for me if I just want to go grab a cup of coffee, or I want to go down to the grocery store and I don't want to get on my $12,000 road bike. Instead, I'm going to get on my electric bike, have a great time, still be on a bicycle, and be able to make those short trips, for instance.
Yeah. Well, I think that we're finding, different groups, and with sport-oriented bikes like this high bike enduro, we're appealing to people that are interested in really aspirational kind of sportive applications, but may not be as fit as they used to be, or they have a significant other that they'd like to ride with that just can't keep up.
Sure.
And it's a great way to go out and actually have fun, regardless of your fitness level.
That makes sense. I want to talk about technology a little bit more, and then we'll get to the bikes themselves. We've seen that there are drive systems in the hub of the rear wheel, drive systems in the bottom bracket. Explain the difference.
Well, hub motors are really what have been most commonplace for the last 5 years or so. And there's some really good quality hub motors available that have a range of different functionalities. The thing with a hub motor is that the maximum torque, the peak torque that they can reach, is about 40 Newton meters, which is not insignificant. Enables you to climb a pretty steep hill. But with a center motor system, you can use a lower wattage motor that runs through a planetary gear and then gives you all the variability of either an internally geared hub or a derailleur system, so you can change the ratio. And it enables you to climb, really anything.
Sure.
And from a torque perspective, you increase the torque by at least 50%. So peak torque on a center motor system is somewhere around 60 Newton meters. So it's really dramatic difference. And the other really good thing about a center motor as opposed to a hub motor is it enables you to position the weight low and centered, and you don't impact the wheels. So they're using normal bicycle wheels that have a traditional kind of system. So if you get a flat while you're out on the road, it doesn't get complicated.
Yeah.
The only reason really that hub motors are still commonly used is because they're less expensive. Center drive systems are considerably more expensive, but ultimately I think as it gets more competitive and more people come into the category with a quality center drive system, you'll see them come down in price, and my guess is more and more bikes will start to use them.
Yeah, it makes sense. Tell us about the three brands of bikes and the specific models that you've brought.
Yeah. So High Bike is a German brand of premium performance products, and in Germany they make a full range of normal bicycles. But in 2010, they introduced X-Doro, which is a series of e-performance bikes using exclusively a Bosch drive system. And they started out with Generation 1 Bosch drive, which was really designed for a traditional trekking bike. So the motor and the gear system hung below the bottom bracket. And this is really an innovative company. And what they did is that they looked at the drive system and they said, hey, if we flipped it 210 degrees, we can build it into a mountain bike frame. And they created a whole new category of sport-oriented electric bikes. It's something that people didn't even anticipate prior to them doing it.
Are there concerns? Are there things that people need to think about if they're riding an electric mountain bike on the trail? Are there sort of just etiquette concerns that people need to think about?
Yeah, absolutely. This was my biggest concern after we made the commitment.
Sure.
And what we've done is published an electric bike trail etiquette guide.
Really?
Yeah. It's you can pick it up at our booth. We're distributing it to all our dealers. It's not only about off-road trail riding. It's also about riding on cycle track and bike paths and rails to trails conversions. I mean, even a normal bike. We have some pretty enthusiastic riders that come bombing down trails, and are a little disrespectful to other trail users.
Never encountered that before.
Never. It's a rarity.
That's right.
So, we want to make sure that when we are introducing these bikes next spring into the market, that people understand that they need to be respectful. Otherwise, they're going to lose the right to use the infrastructure.
Good point.
So we're leading with that, and I think
Good.
I think it's the way to go.
Good, makes sense. Tell us about the other two bikes.
Yeah, so eFlow, the bike on the far right, is an urban bike, and that was our introduction last year. It utilizes some really interesting technology, fully integrated battery into the seat tube, as you can see.
Yeah.
There are no wires and jumble of funky stuff like you sometimes saw on the more dowdy e-bikes. And the neat thing is that most of the weight is in the battery pack, and having it in line with your core weight and center to the overall bike makes it really a nimble handling bike.
Sure.
Yet it's designed, with some beefy, aggressive, city-oriented components and features. We've introduced 2 more models this year in the range, something slightly less expensive, and then also a compact 20-inch wheel urban bike under the eFlow brand. But eFlow remains sort of our urban assault vehicle.
A higher-end bike is my guess. I mean, it's a sexy-looking bike, but I'm guessing it's a higher-end bike overall.
Yeah, it is. It's the Nitro. This model here is $4,000 retail, and it uses really high-end components like hydraulic disc brakes and real high-end drivetrain. It's a 2x10 cassette. And it does use a hub motor, and it's available in 2 configurations. You can get it in high torque or high speed. So the higher torque motor will peak at about 40 Newton meters, and if you're a little bit heavier, you have a lot of terrain.
Hill,
you'd probably opt for that. But if you're riding sort of in rolling terrain and you want to ride it fast, go faster and further, then there's a speed pedelec version that tops out, if you're riding it as hard as you might ride your road bike, at about 45 kilometers an hour.
And we were talking earlier, and I just want to remind people, there are regulations in the United States. The CPSC has said you can, if you're not pedaling, an e-bike can only go so fast. How fast is that?
20 miles an hour, or 32 kph.
Got it.
And each of these 2 bikes, both the iZip here and the eFlow, have a throttle override, so that if you get tired and you're on a steep hill or you find yourself in the wrong gear, you can grab the throttle and it'll boost you to a higher speed. But under throttle power only, they won't exceed 32 kph or 20 miles an hour.
Makes sense. Tell us about the iZip.
Yeah, the Dash is also a speed pedelec, and it's designed to be a lower cost alternative to the eFlow Nitro. It's about $2,600. It has real nice component package, but it's a step down. Also uses a 500 watt direct drive hub motor, and the battery pack is low, just very similar to the high bike, and balanced. So it offers really nice handling characteristics as well.
Nice, really nice technology from Currie. It's clear because you've been around for a while that you're really leading the technology in e-bikes, and I think that these are products that are just going to continue to grow in popularity, and we're going to see more and more of them on the roads, at least here in the U.S. and around the world. Tell people where they can get more information.
You can get more information right from our website at currietech.com, CURRIETECH.com.
Excellent, Larry. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate it very, very much. And we're watching Good Morning Interbike. Stay subscribed to our YouTube channel. We're going to have more content right here at the 2013 Interbike Expo, so stay tuned.